Hey, Reviews and Dunn. Who's giving you a dose this week?
What's going on, world? Once again, it's your boy Derek Dunn back with another A1 interview. I'm kind of excited about my interview today. I got a homie on the line who's a fellow member of AFCA. This is a cat, man. If it's 1998 and you're playing 2K on the Sega Dreamcast, this man's gonna pick Ray Allen. He's gonna school you in the 2K with the illustrious, talented Mr. Ray Allen. 3 years later, 2001. He's going to argue you down and prove why Ether is a better song than The Takeover. And most of all, he's just an all around cool cat. But since we're in 2025, he's going to talk about one of his current projects, which is The Drunk Black History. That's right, folks. I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Brandon Collins. Welcome to the line, sir. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Yeah, it's always good to, to shout out, Belly all the time.
Oh yeah,
I,
we're
that, that,
definitely gonna get into that. Oh,
yeah.
I
So
forgot to add one more thing about Brandon. So like most, Brandon also knows that even though Morris Day had a house,
mhm,
Morris Day had a manservant. Morris Day was so cool that he could actually throw a chick in a trash can and not get canceled.
that's insane.
But he knows that the kid was the one in the Purple Rain. So all that ties into what Brandon does with his Drunk Black History show. So tell us a little about that, man, and where can fans get tickets, and tell us the genesis and what brought about Drunk Black History.
100%. Real quick, I gotta just add about the kid. The kid is the coolest because he walks around looking like Darkwing Duck and gets all the ass. It's incredible. Prince was doing his thing. Anyways, thanks so much for having me on, Derek. Yeah, Drunk Black History is a show that came about to be in 2019. I used to do it with a former co-host, but um, I put together like this structure where basically we use like visuals and the concept of the drinking to talk about our unspoken history as Black folks that sometimes can be a bit heavy. That's where the drinking comes in, and also the loose lips, so we can say what we really feel and how we really feel when we're talking about certain Black historical figures or events that we feel like just haven't got enough recognition in mainstream media. And that started in 2019. We even did shows throughout the pandemic. We did virtual shows, which then gave us a global audience, which was really incredible. And since then, I've been taking the show on the road. We've had successful shows in Los Angeles, Boston, Austin, Texas, Detroit, and we're going to be hitting the road in October, going to New Orleans, Baltimore for the Afro and Audio Podcast Festival, and then of course, Brooklyn. We got to do Brooklyn all in October, so it's going to be some fun Black Gothic, stories and some fun lessons there. But it's always a good time. You always learn something. Not only do you laugh and get to have a few drinks with your community, but you get to learn something. That's like the biggest thing for me as a lifelong educator and former teacher. That's like the most rewarding thing about the show. And so folks can get tickets at drunkblackhistory.com for our New Orleans date, which is on Thursday, October 9th at Dewdrop Inn, legendary venue. And then we're going to be in Baltimore on Saturday, October 18th for the Afro and Audio podcast. And then Tuesday, October 28th, we're at ISO, Brooklyn. Again, tickets for that are drunkblackhistory.com.
All right, man. So you mentioned Baltimore. I'm in the DMV
Mm-hmm.
now, so I might have to come out and check you out, even though it's a different way of life in Baltimore.
Yeah.
They just no
You've been to
shade,
DC.
no shade to Charm City, but they
Yeah.
just move a little bit differently than we do in the
Yeah.
DMV. But shout out to
Yeah.
Baltimore. So yeah, man, I might have to check you out. That's something to
Yeah.
talk about offline, do
Yeah.
that co networking.
100%. I do want to go back to DC. We did have a show in DC. It was pretty chaotic because the museum we booked, unfortunately, they told us the day of, like, I mean, like literally like getting there to set up that they didn't have microphones.
Yeah.
And that was, obviously as a comedian, that's like, number one essential. You know what I mean? So it was pretty wild. But also DC because of the political climate stuff, like this show is likely to get on certain radars. And so I'm cautious when I'm thinking about like doing something in the DMV, but like it definitely is going to happen at some point.
Yeah, well, so just to kind of like, pivot away from that though, as somebody that grew up, in the DMV, if you're not really from the DMV, it's hard to speak on it because,
Yeah.
people always think Virginia, yeah. So Virginia is a northern state. It is.
Mhm.
But the DMV, that's why we say like, northern VA, because just kind of like how I was saying with Baltimore, we move differently than cats do in Richmond. We move differently than cats do in Petersburg and Hampton. I mean, it's all love, but northern VA is like it's its own way of life. Because even when I
Yeah.
was a kid growing up in Newport News, I was in hip to go go. Like I didn't get hip to go go until I actually moved to the DMV back in '93, and I'm in Hampton Roads in 88, early '90s, and then came up here in '93,
Okay.
and it's like you're hip to go go, so it's like it's a different way of life, and kind of the same in Baltimore, to where Baltimore cats really don't rock with go go, but they rock with house. So it's just a
That's
different way
so
of life.
wild.
No shade at all, but yeah, shout
Yeah.
out to the DMV, shout out to Baltimore and everyone that's
Yeah. And
out there.
that's why I always book local talent. It's weird. I was actually talking to my friend Punky Johnson about New Orleans. I'm like, yeah, like if you have New Orleans folks that you recommend for the show, it's just I appreciate that so much because people come from out of town to these cities to do shows and they never book local talent. They bring in their own talent. I'm like, why would I do that? Like, you're gonna know your area and your history better than I am. Like, I can come, yeah, I can look up history online and stuff like that, but like how the
Yeah.
community feels about certain things. So I want you to be doing also educate me on say. I love that. That's like such a rewarding part about doing the show in different cities.
Yeah, so like myself, you're a film fan. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was the way you explained it to me was like, looking at things, looking at pop culture, looking at history with adult eyes. And
Mm,
one of the things that I do on my platform is like, I do Second Listen Sunday. So with Second Listen Sunday, I basically go back and I find an album and I listen to it with my 40 plus years of age, and and it hits differently than hearing something when you're like 15, 16, even like 5 and 6. And I think in 2025, with podcasting influencers taking over, there really is an art to it, to revisiting history, especially when it comes to pop culture, because you can't really judge things from, hell, even 2005 with a 2025 lens, because stuff
mm,
evolves and it
100%.
changes.
Yep.
And the way that things change, it's like, I think one of the biggest ones is you probably seen the clips, like Beverly Hills Cop, the first one. So the scene in the restaurant where Axel, throws Maitland's crony over the table,
Hmm.
and the stunt man is clearly visible.
Yeah.
But in '84, though, it's like the camera lens wasn't that wide, so you wouldn't see that. So it's not really that they were lazy, it's just that technology wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
So like, you're not having some big gotcha moment. It's just that it was different back then. So that's why, like, technology has evolved and changed. I mean, shout out to you, man, for actually doing it the right way and not really I guess attacking without merit and without purpose, because I think a lot of
Right.
influencers, I'm not saying no names, but
Right.
they're doing stuff for the likes and the shares, not actually
No.
critiquing it,
Yep.
the proper with the proper lens, and knowing it's like, yo, it was a different time. So you're not
Yeah.
excusing it, but it was a different time though, and things are made differently. You shot stuff
I,
differently.
and I appreciate that. I always look at history like with that, and that's why for me, I get frustrated sometimes when I see like continuity issues or bloopers. And I know that things happen, but like
Yeah,
also that's the benefit of me, like on my Medium Popcorn podcast, my co-host and I, we're also actors. So for instance, I've been on set like all week on different projects, right? I'm about to be on set tomorrow. And so I'm seeing how people work and if a team cares about continuity, right? Because if they shuffle around background people, and I'm like, well, that's gonna look weird in that shot because it's gonna be out of sync. Or I was writing at Universal Studios, so now I see also like whenever something's a set, clearly a set on the Universal lot. I'm like, y'all could have fixed that up a little bit. So I mean, it it kind of irks me now that I know so much about how the business works and how
yeah,
filmmaking works because it dilutes the ability to enjoy certain things if it's not handled with care or detail to attention.
and it is tough. I mean, especially for me, like because I often tell people, usually I watch so many movies and I
Mm,
watch most stuff. There was a time when I'm doing like, anywhere from like 10 to 15 a week.
yeah.
And, you're watching so much. At some point, it does all run together, but
Yeah.
I used to be a film snob, like a serious film snob. And I'm like, you know what? I'm getting to a point where I'm not liking anything. So
That happened to me. What was the year that Closer came out? The movie with Clive Owen and Julia Roberts. What
I think
was
that
that
was like
year?
2004.
Dude, I remember I used to be a huge snob. I went to go these three movies back to back in the theater, and I think it got me to that realization, Derek. It was Spanglish, Closer, and Phantom of the Opera. At that
Yeah.
time, they all had awards hype. All three of them were getting like awards buzz and stuff. So I checked them out all like the same day. And by the end of Phantom of the Opera, I was like, I gotta take care of myself. I need a mental health break, especially from like white centric films. I need like which are always award season films, right? And so I was like, I gotta take a step back and like reflect on my life.
Yeah, and I mean it just, it brings us to not to, beat a red horse, but it's like, when you think about Tyler Perry, and I mean Mr. Perry's a prime example to where I stopped taking him serious maybe around 2013,
Mm,
and I realized that he has a core audience.
yes.
He does. And
Yep.
what I always say is Tyler's gonna Tyler.
Yep.
So that being said, though, it's like you have one or two choices. You either go along for the ride or you just don't watch. So why waste energy and constantly, dragging this man? If he hasn't changed in 20 plus years, he's not gonna change. Like, and he doesn't need to
Yeah.
because he has a core
His
audience.
audience. Yeah.
It's the same with Woody Allen. Now, not even talking about his personal life, but with Woody Allen though, when Woody Allen said that minorities don't exist in his New York, kind of like, yeah, I gave him the side. I like, okay, that's just weird for you to say, but you
Yeah.
have a fan base that loves you, you have a fan base that likes you. Outside of Annie Hall, Mad Hatter Murder Mystery, and maybe
For me, it's match point.
and Match Point, like that's it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a
Yeah.
Woody Allen
I'm
fan.
good. Yeah.
Like, but
Same way.
you have a fan base, and I just choose not to watch your stuff because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't appeal to me.
100%.
And I'm not gonna drag you at all. So, shout out to you again, man, for doing it the right way. So
No,
let's go
thank you,
ahead
man.
and pivot to what we were talking about, offline. So Brandon and I are gonna do a quick little spiel on the movie After the Hunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, folks,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
as I always tell people my reviews and everything, my review's not up yet, so I'm not gonna go too in depth
Oh,
with
okay.
my thoughts here, but I do have it in my year's 10 worst.
It's in your worst so far?
It's in my year's 10 worst. It's not the worst, but
Okay. 10 worst.
it's in
Okay.
there.
I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't even started putting the list together, like except for the top four, I think in my head.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I put my review up already before we did the interview, which will,
Yeah.
obviously offline we know what that's about. Um, yeah, man, I had a real problem with the Io character, the betrayal. So speaking of Tyler Perry, I'm starting to be like, is Luca the like Italian Tyler Perry? Like, were you not supposed to take him seriously? Is he getting to that place? Because after Queer, I'm like, what are you doing, bro? What's going on here?
Well, I think with Luca, I mean, Luca has his fan base because I really enjoy challengers. I mean, I had challengers in my year's 10 best
Same, same. I was
last
like,
year.
these dudes are gonna be stars. I'm like, was this Josh O'Connor? I always talk about him. I'm
Yeah.
like, as soon as I had never seen the Crown or whatever, I saw that movie. I'm like, he's gonna be a huge star. Like Zendaya is already at another level, but that guy is gonna be huge, and he's blowing up now.
Yeah. So, with After the Hunt, I think the biggest issue that I had was the ideas were there and
Mhm.
I got what they were going for, but the cohesion and the narrative, it just didn't come together. And like around, I mean, Right Hand to God, I haven't slept that good in a movie in
Oh,
years. I mean, like the last 25 minutes, and I was gone. I mean, I was out cold, and I woke up like, oh, it's over. And you have a little ending, and
I
that's
know
it. So, I mean, trying to go into, um,
racism.
sexism, nepotism,
Yeah,
even
privilege.
Yeah, privilege.
Yeah.
It's all there, but it didn't need to be 2.5 hours for
Nope.
starters. Um, I said I think if they would have maybe focused on something to where like Julia Roberts' character had an arc where she did something to Andrew Garfield in college, kind of like maybe like a disclosure type spin.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
might have worked a little bit better, and then you set
Interesting.
it up to where
Yeah.
it's generational trauma to where whether or not he does something to his
Well,
students, the reason why that happened because it happened to
him
him.
and him. Well, to that point, Derek, and this is like where like I don't want to get to spoilers and stuff, but how old was Andrew Garfield's character supposed to be? Because there's a scene early in the movie where he's kind of chastising AIO's character and a few of the other students, like, oh, you millennials and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how old are you, sir? Because I know in real life he's like, what, 42? So I'm like, how is he supposed to be in his 50s? Because Julia's 50, mid 50s, right? Or late 50s. I'm like, what's going on here? Because they're both going for tenure.
Yeah, I said Andrew's probably supposed to be about maybe early 30s, late 20s. I think Andrew's thing
Really?
was he was maybe like a TA and then he pivoted to teacher,
Huh.
but he wasn't
Okay.
like old. Like I said, maybe late 20s, maybe early 30s. Because even if you look at how like
Interesting. Okay.
their interactions, there was obviously something there with
Yeah.
Andrew and Julie's characters, but
Yes.
it just the cohesion just didn't flow. And even like with his whole little thing at the way he kind of like it's written out, it's just like he just falls out of the movie, and then we get a line saying, "Oh, this is what happened to him," and yeah, he's doing there. I mean,
He's like, yeah.
Julia was fine. I mean, Julia did her; she was good, but it was just again, it was just too much going on, and I'm sure that it'll have a audience, and I kind of agree with you about AO. No shade, but I was telling some of my other friends, other critics, that to me, she's kind of becoming a little bit typecast as the
The quirky black friend.
quirky black friend
Mm-hmm.
around, let's say, scrupulous white people
Yeah.
as well. And maybe it's because maybe it's because we just saw Opius like 6 months ago, and then she does
Oh, okay.
this,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I need her to do something like with some black folks, you know,
Yes.
something like a brown sugar or like a
Even like
even
the harder
just
they
one of them
fall, like
days,
do something different, like
something
a do like a genre centric, black centric thing. Something.
yeah,
Yeah.
something light, something light and airy to kind of pivot. Because I mean, she's gonna be just fine. I mean, she's gonna be fine, but it's just like I don't want her to become like typecast and pigeonholed to where
Uh,
every script is kind of like we have a script,
yeah.
we need a quirky black girl, let's call AO. It's kind of like how Cuba was back in the 90s and the early
That's
2000s. He was hot.
that's what I was gonna
You
say
remember about
is
Cuba Gooding Jr.?
yeah, yeah.
Every single movie this dude had a crying scene. And so
Yeah.
no real talk, like
Yeah.
Dirty, Radio, Fighting Temptations, Men of Honor. It's like, Cuba, we have a script for you. Is there a crying scene? No, but we can write one for you. Like like,
Yeah.
and I didn't notice that somebody pointed out, like, yo, this dude is crying in every single movie, and not even a manly cry. It's just like a random type, random type cry.
Don't even get me started on Radio, man. I remember like seeing that movie being so offended on so many levels. And I'm just surrounded by because I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm just surrounded by white
Yeah,
people watching. I was like, yo, this is so offensive and for Cuba just look crazy. Uh,
shout out to
um,
Cuba though, man.
but
All right,
Io,
so
Io, I do think is in danger though of
yeah,
falling in that without the awards acclaim. Obviously, she has the Emmy from the Bear and stuff like that. But I do hear you when you're. She needs to diversify her filmography ASAP because I think if enough people, I think she is susceptible to potentially getting a lot of, I don't want to say backlash, but I think if people actually start watching the movie or they start putting on clips, because you know how film Twitter and just
yeah,
social media does, it's not the best look for her, especially when you find out there's no real substance behind what they were trying to say about her character. I don't know if the writer Nora just pulled back or Luca pulled back, but it felt very much like, hey, we want to call out this black woman because she's actually not as smart as she's presenting herself to be, but we don't want to
mhm.
do it because she's a black woman. But like no one actually said it, and they never actually had that confrontation. So then it was just this weird thing that's lingering there, or maybe that's just me as a black person how I interpret it because I was like, They're trying to say like, she ain't it, but they're afraid to because she's a black woman. But is it because she's also a rich black woman, or because she's a black woman, or is it both? If they never explore that, they never actually go down that road. But it was very frustrating, a very frustrating watch.
Yeah, and you could have swapped out Ao and Sydney Sweeney in that movie. You'd have the exact same film.
My wife said the same thing. She said it felt like they initially wanted to cast a white woman, but then they got Io, and then they were just like, that's why every sentence she's like, as a black woman, as a black woman, you're like,
Yeah,
she's like, it just felt very odd and forced a lot of time.
yeah, and again, I mean, like I always tell people, like go see it for yourself.
Yeah,
Just for me, it wasn't
I love
that
it.
good,
You
and
said go
it's
see
a
it for
shame
yourself even though you fell
because
asleep.
yeah, well, and it's a shame because the potential is there,
Yeah,
and there are some
100%.
good ideas there. It's just that it just it didn't come together. I mean, it's the
Yeah,
same with I don't know how my counterpart feels about him. A lot of
I
times
didn't see it.
you have a good idea, but if you can't get that co cohesion
Yep.
together, then it affects the final product.
Yeah, I didn't see him yet. One, not because I didn't get invited to a critic screening, but just like it felt like the marketing just lost confidence. It felt like during like the last 2 weeks when like the run up for the release date, the studio just pulled back a lot. And so I was like, well, that's never a good sign. I wonder what that's about. And then I started hearing the reviews and my peers talking about. I'm like, oh no. Um, yeah, because for me, like it's weird that Tyreek Withers, is that the actor's name? Like that he's blowing up after that Atlanta episode. Cause I thought he was the worst thing in the episode, even though it's about him. But I was like, man, I really like there's so many other actors that could have done this, but fine. It's I still like the episode, but and for him to be getting all these roles, I'm like, I don't know if he's got the chops to lead movies the way that they want him to.
Yeah, oh, I like Tyreek. Him should do enough for him to kind of like
Okay.
pivot to that next level. I mean, he was kind of the best thing in that ill-fated Last Summer reboot.
Yes, he
But
was.
the
I
same with
will give
him
him
though.
that, but
It's
that
like
was movie so bad, Derek.
Tyreek is somebody that he's gonna need, like he's got to do something else, like
Yes.
maybe like two more safe products and kind of do something a bit differently
Mm.
just to show your chops. And I mean, I was telling one of my fellow critic friends that when they announced Miami Vice, the reboot coming out, I'm like, yeah, something like that would be good for him to bulk up a little bit
Uh,
more and show some range. But of course,
yeah,
where it
he's not
is they're
gonna get it.
going with
Michael B. Jordan and Glenn
and
Powell.
Glenn Powell, which is box office wise, it makes sense.
Yeah,
But
I actually called on my podcast. I called Michael B. Jordan, but I said Austin Butler, not Glenn Powell.
yeah, that's why I had Austin Butler.
Yeah, I was like, that's money making. But Glenn Powell also has star, box
Yeah.
office cachet now. But you put Michael B. Jordan there, and like you're definitely gonna get a huge audience. And then you put like a pretty white guy, yeah, you're gonna have Joseph Kaczynski, yeah, it's gonna be make mad money.
All right, bro. Well, before I let you go, man, it's like like I said, I want to do like a little sample drunk Black History with you, and I
Okay.
think the perfect thing since we had a chance to talk about After the Hunt, and we talked to the only good thing in After the Hunt is the cinematography by Malik, who also did Belly.
Yes.
So
Yep.
Mr.
I
Collins and I
talked
are
to him
gonna
about
do
that.
a little drunk Black History on Belly. So lead me through it, sir, and I'll follow your lead.
Yeah, I mean, Belly is a 1998 movie. We actually talked about it on my Medium Popcorn podcast and also on Draw Black History because I think it has pound for pound one of the best openings of all time. Which actually that opening I believe cost $2 million to
Yeah.
produce, and the film had a budget of 3 million. So there's a reason why at the end when Nas is like Africa, I can't believe it. It's showing Times Square and it's a voiceover of Nas because they ran out of money. Hype
Mhm.
Williams did not know how to budget a movie, but yeah, I mean it's a hood classic. You know what I mean? Like some people will argue that's a fantastic film. I don't agree, but I think the opening is one of the most captivating visual representations of the time and of just the way that technology can be used to create a mood. I think that's one of the first few times, like when I was younger, where I was like, "Oh, this is a vibe." Like I actually like remember saying that out loud. But Belly does have a cult following, and was directed by Hype Williams. Obviously, stars the late and great DMX, aka Anthony Bowden, Nas, as well as T-Boz.
And that's good old black girl joy, Miss Terrell Hicks.
Oh, Earl Summers. Why did I call him Anthony Bowden? I don't know. DMX is Earl Simmons. Sorry about
All right, so my caveat on Belly is I'm in that club of people that think they actually think Belly's very underrated.
that.
Um,
Okay.
and as a kid, I think Belly came out when I was 17. I saw it with two of the homies at a hood theater on Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay.
But my respect for Belly went through the roof when I actually bought the DVD and I listened to Hype's commentary.
Okay.
And Hype really going into depth about what he actually wanted to do versus what the studio made him do. And like
I can
hearing him
see that.
talk about it, like break everything down to where, he wanted a 3 hour film. He envisioned it as
Yeah.
like his version of The Godfather.
I can see that.
I mean, he even had things in there. He even had things in there where Tommy actually, kills the minister. He gets
Yep.
swallowed by the belly of the beast. He wanted it shot in Africa. I mean, there was he tried to get Shaheem in the movie. So as Malik said during our little interview this past weekend at the round table, it's soured hype on Hollywood. I mean, because he had such a artistic vision
Yep.
and kind of being like cut down.
And
That's why he never did another movie.
yeah, and that's unfortunate because if the whole movie had been able to captivate the energy and intensity of that opening scene, that would be one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah.
That was the happiest. That was my proud moment at that roundtable we did with Malik, was being able to tell him like that opening is like incredible. The way it looks is incredible, and that's a testament to him and Hype Williams, because there's no dialogue in that scene, so that helps. Because Nas, there's a reason why Nas never acted it again.
Yeah, and there is I mean there is stuff there, and it's like you almost wish that I know Tyron Turner said that he was supposed to be Tommy, and which I really couldn't see him pulling off,
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
but you almost kind of wish like if Hype had actually had a chance to do it the right way with maybe more established actors, and then you had the hip hop thing in the background to where it's like they're there, but they're not fully invested in the movie, because a lot of times when you're casting quote unquote rappers or singers in a movie, you have to find what works for them and their strengths. I mean, going all the way back to Crush Groove in '85, to where they just played a hyper realistic version of themselves, and you didn't want them to do too much because you knew their limitations. I mean, you have Sheila E's playing like the naive singer, but she's Sheila E. Run DMC's playing Run DMC. The Fat Boys are playing the Fat Boys,
That
but
boys,
they're leaning
different.
into
Yep.
their comedy. So
Yep.
it's unfortunate that Belly didn't get a chance to really get what it deserved. I mean, it has its following, it has its fans, but
It
we
does.
really should have got another flick from Hype. I remember back in the day after Belly, they were saying that he was the first choice to do Speed Racer,
Oh,
and his
yeah.
visual eye, like what Hype could
That could
actually
have been
do if
cool.
he had
That could have been real cool.
did Speed Racer, man, that would have been killer, man. So shout out to Hype, man. Hopefully one day, man, we get another flick from you in some form.
I actually think the Wazowskis did a decent job at Speed Racer. I think it was very long. I think it was a little bit too long, but I actually thought they got the tone of the show very
Yeah.
well, like for live action. I just think people weren't ready for it. I think a lot of people were like, oh, that sounds like a cool idea. And then they actually got it and they're like, oh, never mind. You know what I mean? Because I can see like a Johnny Quest, like if you do a Johnny Quest like live adaptation, I would want it to be like that crazy ass show.
Yeah.
But like, I guess, live action that maybe just doesn't translate anymore.
Definitely. Well, all right, sir. I want to thank you for taking time out of everybody to go to shop it up with me. And where can
Thank you.
folks find you on social media? And where can they buy tickets for Drunk Black History?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm available on Instagram and Threads at Frodo_Blackens, and people can buy tickets for Drunk Black History at drunkblackhistory.com. Again, we're going to be in New Orleans, Baltimore, and Brooklyn all the month of October. So please come out, hang out with us, drink with us, and learn something.
Copy that. All right, folks, heard it here, and check Mr. Collins out. So next time, Dunn out.
Hey, what's up? This is Ludacris.
What's up, y'all? This is Nicki Minaj.
You're rocking with the best. It's Reviews and Dunn.